Welcome to the Afro Anime Initiative, episode 5. We are live. And ladies and gentlemen, before we start off in the place to be where diversity lives, and we promote diversity in the genre, medium, cartoons we love, I'd like to apologize for some audio mistakes that we had in episode 4. A lot of people are wondering why we kept the episode up, didn't change it, didn't redo it, because you want to know why? You learn from your mistakes. And when you learn from your mistakes, you become a better person. So hopefully, a couple of mistakes we made will make us a better podcast and hopefully give you guys a lot more to listen to and enjoy. Once again, welcome to the Afro Anime Initiative. I am your host, Darren
Paolina
Bradley, along
Guerrier.
with.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to us. So, please follow us and join in on any conversation and join the initiative through our Facebook, Afro Anime Initiative, or Afro underscore AI, on Instagram. It's one long word, Afro Anime Initiative, and you'll see the green logo thing. And then on Twitter, it's Afro underscore AI. So, Darren, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today, for all those who are joining the initiative, we are going to talk about a very, I don't want to say odd subject, but it's a subject I think is very potent. Black people in anime. Since we are named Afro Anime Initiative, maybe we should have that type of discussion. What does it mean to be black in anime? What does it mean to be a black person that likes anime? What is the experience that black people feel when they, embrace anime? Because again, anime is an entire medium. It's not just a genre or a part of something else. It's its own medium. It's kind of its own culture. And for black people, embracing other cultures can sometimes be kind of difficult. So, where should we start, P? Should we start with music? Should we start with clothing? Should we start with cosplay? Should we start with just sitting in the room with your friends and watching some weird cartoons with
So many
swords?
places to start. I mean, for the first part, we gotta understand, everybody, you gotta know that being a black anime fan, right there, is already something that makes you a sore thumb amongst your black peers. Like when you look at other, you know, black kids going into the medium or the medias that they're into, like reality shows and like sports and stuff like that, you wouldn't think that many of them would be into anime, or at least like what, out of 10, maybe one or two, but secretly, because it's something that people don't find themselves getting into, especially black people. And like a little stigma that's still kind of around is that when you watch anime, people assume the only thing that they hear out of it from any culture outside of Japanese culture is hentai, like just gross porn stuff.
Like you say, anime, they straight
Yes.
think of
Yes.
tentacle monsters.
hmm And that's what I remember, to be honest, as a kid growing up. The first anime that I watched was, besides Dragon Ball Z, I think was like the Gundam series, and Sailor Moon. And again, I always heard that my friends were like, oh, if you go online to this website, you'll see like the true version of it. It's really, really like perverted and stuff like that. And that's exactly how I thought anime was too. Like, just, you see a pretty girl, there's a tentacle monster somewhere in the background, like that will show up somehow. You see it depicted in the art, so that's what people assume what it is, and they'll make fun of you for it.
And I always find that fascinating when I hear people talk about stuff like that because I've had a different experience. Because they say, well, isn't it just all like pornographic stuff? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so you never watched Disney movies? Like, so you didn't watch Saturday morning cartoons and you just didn't catch any of those innuendos they was
No.
dropping all that. It's no different. Like, it seems that cartoon children and animators have a lot of pent up stuff inside them and they like to release it in the
Mm-hmm.
weirdest way possible inside cartoons. So it's always weird that you hear that when people say, "Man, but in anime, that's all it's about." But I'm like, yeah, but you watch Pinky and the Brain, fam.
Oh
You don't
man.
think that stuff was in there, or Ren and
Whew.
Stimpy, Beavis
Invader
and
Zim.
Butthead?
Invader
Stop
Zim. Good lord.
it! Oh my god! Like, yeah, so stop it. Cause like I said, I have a different experience with anime. Like, first of all, I discovered a lot of stuff on my own super young, but I found more
Hmm.
childish anime like Ronin
Right.
Warriors, which is basically a prelude to Power Rangers. Five kids, different color armor,
Hmm.
fighting one giant bad guy. You
Right.
know, Power Rangers set up before Power Rangers. And when I got into deeper anime, because I skipped over some of the more
Right.
kiddie friendly ones,
Hmm.
Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, I kind of skipped over those, went straight to the rough stuff. Um, I was with friends or who had older siblings or just older people like, this is cooler stuff. And, you know, they just do more things in Japan than they allow here. So, like, my discovery of
Hmm.
anime itself as anime went straight from, oh, Ronin Warriors, Samurai, and colorful armor to Neon
Oh man.
Evangelion Genesis, and
We
I
know it.
said that's so wrong, but I went straight from that to that, and then like,
Wow.
oh, so I always read like older people or people who are into more deeper, richer anime. So I always had an
Hmm.
outlet, especially I was a comic book geek too. So I was always kind of used to just being a little bit of the odd person out because there was just
Hmm.
something I liked different from everybody else. So everybody else was like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon. I'm like, yeah. Have you seen Berserk?
Right. Like that one kid is like, "Have you seen this strange thing you've probably never even heard of?" And kids will probably look at you like, "What?" Yep.
All right. Addiction, yeah. So it's weird because like I said, I had the also experience from comic book, and I was also a very big child, so nobody like chastised
But
me for stuff
right.
like that because I could beat them up. So, like I said, it was I have a different experience I think than most black people have had with anime and
Right.
being stereotyped with it. Because I was
Hmm.
into sports, I played football, basketball. I was like I said, I was a big kid. Like I said, I read comics every day, walked around with my comic book, like say something about it. And then, like I said, I was in the anime and I was in the like
Right.
cartoons, like all forms of cartoons. Like that's why when like I said, the inspiration for this
Hmm.
is to see myself in more stuff like that. How cool it would have been to see myself in
Exactly.
more
And
cartoons as a kid.
my experience with that was, of course, I've gotten like weird looks. I've always, like you said, been the odd kid out. Like I read comic books. I was into like my big favorite superhero was still is Spider-Man, and I loved the X-Men. I of
Hmm.
course got into Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, but then it was like a slow transition because I was always going in and out. And I did have a friend, and I used to have ballet classes for many years. And there was one other girl in my class who was an even bigger anime fan that I've like just up till now. I think she was like the biggest anime fan I've ever met in my entire life. And she was already deep into it when we started talking about this stuff. And when she learned that I was into it, she was just
Hmm.
we were just friends from just real tight up and all through high school too. And she introduced me to anime like Inuyasha, and I learned about other anime like Full Metal Alchemist. Now that was the anime that made me understand that anime was like not just for kids. Like it can generally be for adults because
Hmm.
the content was like, whoa, this is not light stuff at all. Why is this a theme? But it made sense in the medium that was in. So every time, through her, we would talk about that anime. We would talk about how much we hated certain characters in Inuyasha. We would talk about um, Neon Genesis. We would definitely talk about just all sorts of things. And for me, it was nice to at least have one other person talk to about that. Otherwise, my black peers were more concerned about sports. In ballet, I had quite a few black classmates, so they were more concerned about fashion and the latest trend, which celebrity did what, all of that, and how they looked. Like they were more concerned about that. And interestingly enough, again with my experience growing up, going through like we've known each other for so many years that I think those who weren't into anime just got used to it. They got used to me and my friend,
Hmm.
geeking out over the latest episode of the newest anime of like Eureka 7 or something like that. They just got used to it. So I think
Hmm.
that's another really interesting thing that I saw or learned or at least observed. And again, luckily for us, we had a new classmate, I don't want to say foreign exchange student, but her family moved from Japan. So she didn't know that much English, and she was like the youngest in her class and the smallest. And we were just like, oh my gosh, she's from Japan. We swarmed her. Like we totally swarmed her. But
Terrible,
she was like,
terrible
she's
children.
like, oh, cool, new friends. And like, she's the sweetest girl on the
Mm.
face of the planet. And she, again, introduced us to anime that wasn't even the US yet. So whenever we were like, me and my
Mm.
friend, whatever, like, we would sing like some random song from like Crayon Shin-chan, which, for those of you who know, is just, I don't know how they have a kindergartner talk about some grown up vulgar stuff, but there you go. Um, Whenever we would sing like random songs from there, she like our friend would just be so scandalized and like, "Do you know what you're saying?" We're like, "Now we do."
Yeah, because we didn't before. But like I said, but that's that weird dichotomy because you have like this, like you said, for you it was like, wow, this show has a kindergarten scene, some really grown up vulgar stuff. But like I
Mhm.
said, then I
Yep.
remember Beavis and Butthead. Remember they're supposed to be idiotic teenagers. I remember
Mhm.
Animaniacs. Like I knew what they
Yep.
were talking about every time they said "Hello, Nurse." It's like these things were prevalent in American cartoons. It's just because
Yep.
maybe American cartoons
Blatant
tried
about
to
it.
hide it
Oh
and not
yeah.
actually be honest with what they were doing. Exactly, they were sneaking it. Japan, like, now we finna sneak shit. Look, children,
It's
here is
there. It is
sex.
right in your
Look at
face.
it.
You're gonna
you know.
encounter it as an adult. Might as well get used to it now.
But that, like I said, and it's always weird. Like that's the stereotype because there are just so many more things that,
Mhm.
first of all, animation can do, and anime has shown that.
Mhm.
Like you get, what do we have? We got
Yep.
sports. There's slice of life.
There's like sci-fi.
There's I always do this. Yeah, but I always do this.
Yeah.
There's male power fantasies. There female power fantasies. I know there are terms for them, ladies and gentlemen. Just right now I can't think of the words. But I know that there are even, genres in anime that literally
Yep.
cater to just certain points of views. They're
Mhm.
only about certain points of views that you wouldn't kind of find in American style or Western style cartoons, but
Right.
they would try to sneak them in there like you were dumb. No, in Japan's like, no, we know you smart. Here, see what you can do. Like,
Yes.
harem things, but it's blatant there. But over here, you would have weird stuff like Darkwing Duck going on a date. Like that was a whole episode. It's
Yep.
the same concept. It's the
It is
hero
the same
going on a
concept.
date. It's the same
Exactly.
concept. It's
And
just
it's
maybe not the whole
so cool
show.
that with that difference is that with how black Americans or black Western viewers, how they grow up in a certain environment with media, with cartoons, like let's say, the black person watches a cartoon, but a westernized cartoon. And you have certain scenes where it looks like it's something of like a slice of life kind of thing, but they don't go into it. Like it's not an actual whole episode or a whole show about it. Whereas with with Japanese
Hmm.
shows with anime, it's like a whole genre. It's an entire genre. Like there's also like comedy shows. Like
Hmm.
again, my friend
Right.
introduced me to Azumanga Daioh, and it's like a series of comics where it's just scenarios of like the weirdest but the most hilarious scenarios of these high school teenage girls, and like this one little girl, a 10-year-old genius who goes to high school and meet these girls, and it's just weird thing after weird thing, but at the same time it's like it's stuff you can relate to because it's weird, it's random musings of teenagers, of teenage girls, and it's not always about boys. It's literally like
Right.
weird stuff. Like you have that one character who has weird fantasies, tells her friends, and they just look at her like, what's wrong with you? And then you have that one character who's like super tall, and she looks mean and tough, but she has a big soft spot for kittens who do not like her, and like kittens do not like her, and it's sad. But then you have the 10-year-old genius where you have that here too. You have that kid trying to adjust and being swarmed by a bunch of tall teenage girls, but they welcome her and she's a part of their group. And you also have the teachers. The teachers are the worst. Like, you have full grown adults who don't want to be adults, and it's like, if that's not my life, I don't know what is. So again, you have that huge difference in,
Mm-hmm.
like, let's say I enjoy that stuff as a black woman, and another black woman or a black man would go, no, that's weird. Like, why would you watch that, when they would, turn around and watch a reality show about people who don't even know they exist,
Mm-hmm.
and half that stuff's even scripted, but I'm not going to get into that. Um,
No, that's actually no. That's a
mhm,
really good example because I think what it is, it's the reason why I believe so many youth, and there are so many more black people, youth, older, getting into anime because anime, for its stereotypical stuff,
does.
breaks black stereotypes. Because even though there are definitely large tropes in anime with, oh dear God, I need to stop. There are many large tropes, but it's tropes that they have there which still break away the stereotypes that black people have to suffer here in this country. And just to break away and open your mind to something else, unfortunately, there's just a large part of our populace that
Mhm,
just don't understand that. They're defined by, like, for lack of a better, no, I'm not even gonna be
mhm,
that person. They're defined by white supremacy. So once you move away from white supremacy, oh, that's just weird because nobody knows
mhm,
anything outside of that because that's all that we've been given. So when you find something like Japanese anime, which literally is an entire country,
mhm.
which is $1 billion industry around the world, and you're a little black kid living in a ghetto, and you discover that or
Right.
latch onto that, that makes you seem weird, not the people that's stuck in a mind state of white supremacy, but because you want to go find something about some dudes flying around and learning karate and making them superpowers,
Mhm.
instead of a dude getting bitten by a radioactive spider, even though they're the same thing,
Right.
but somehow because it's come from another country, you're weird.
Exactly.
Because a white
That's
person didn't make it,
exactly
you're
it. And in
weird.
fact, that a lot of these shows from outside of the country are a lot more relatable than what, the white man gives us. Again, like with sports, it's a huge thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
starting to become a very, very big thing now. Sports anime, oh my god. I mean, it's always been a big thing, but
Mm-hmm.
recently, though, it's really taken off. Like, especially with, like, there's like a volleyball anime. I'm not going to say the name of it because I know I'll butcher the name, the pronunciation. But there's swimming anime, there's basketball. There's a basketball anime. And I know for a fact that, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for example, with the volleyball anime, I absolutely adore it because I remember exactly how high school boys act, like idiots, and they have fun with it. This is exactly how the show portrays them. High school boys who are dedicated to their sport. They fall, they help each other up, they fight with each other, they say stupid things, and they do like silly things, and it works. And it's like, this is exactly, I know for a solid fact I can
Mm-hmm.
name like 5 black boys off the top of my head from high school I know for a fact would enjoy this. But they wouldn't admit to enjoying it because of the stigma, because of being made fun of, or go like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is some show for girls because they're, attractive, and there's going to be all that shipping stuff. It's like, no, 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 no. Look past that and actually watch it. Like, you'll find yourself relating to them very much. I relate to them because I understand that very well, what it's like to work in a team, to physically exert yourself to the point of falling down and then getting back up. Like, I know. I get it. I get it. I really do.
I think that's, like I said, that's another thing because, like, when you have black people that's
Mhm.
afraid of falling into a stereotype of liking anime, but even the stereotypes of being a
Mhm.
person that likes anime, they're the white stereotypes.
Yes.
The fat odd white kid that, or the super skinny look undernourished white kid. Those are, again, white people stereotypes of anime. Because if you look at black people who are usually into anime, it's, first of all, it's all sets. Like,
Exactly.
there's no fat shaming here. It's
Mhm.
all shapes, all sizes, all skin tones, and none of those, no black fan I know
No, they don't.
conforms to a
Mhm.
stereotype of anime fan. And, like, it's that breaking out of that mind state that you can't like something that's supposedly
Mhm.
outside of the norm. But it's like, but what is the norm? Because
Exactly.
if you like it, first of all, you should like it. And if you want to find people are that have the same mind state as you, and you create it, then like again, I think you and me have both experienced this. Since we've been in from high school and college, we've always found people starting clubs or forming groups when they found something they like and trying to find people to communicate with. That's what the internet was for. But once you got done with the military stuff, you were supposed to go out there and find people that
Exactly.
like the same things you like, and yet it somehow turned around into making people's
Mm-hmm.
mind state smaller instead of expanding them. And I think that's a place where a lot of black people are caught, because it's like, yes, I want to let people know that I like more than just this, but if I do, then I'm gonna be ridiculed. Oh, you trying to be like this, or you can't do this, or if you want to be a cosplayer, like one day we are going to do an episode about black
Yes.
cosplayers and the BS they have to go through, because it doesn't make any sense. If I like dressing up as a fictional character, no matter what my skin tone is, I should be able to do that without a stereotype. Because here's the thing: you, as a person who also likes dressing up like a fictional character, is getting a lot of flack. So why
Exactly.
you want to turn around and then put that flack on me just because I'm black? Why can't we just both enjoy it and go out there and look good? And it's weird because you see things like, I remember when they did the cosplay show on Sci-Fi, and they tried to do another one and it didn't go so well. Like how these things are trying to get into so called mainstream culture, and I had to think about that. We've been dressing up since Halloween started. It's just cosplay. Just for that, it's just one day
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing it around the
Exactly.
year round. But because of the way, again, other people want to stereotype stuff, it's a stigma to it, and like it's those things like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult for black people like anime, just trying to break away from stereotypes and stigmatism
Exactly.
that it
Oh, that's
which aren't their
exactly it.
own.
And around this time, actually, I've looked at past couple of months. If yeah, past couple of months, I'm looking at when when Black Panther was released, and the cast was doing the press tour globally and all that stuff. They sometimes would sit down and do like fun games in front of the camera and talk about themselves, this, that, and the other. And I think it was Michael B. Jordan who said that he enjoyed anime, like he wanted to go visit Japan because he was a big anime fan. And from there, it was like
Hmm.
everybody, it just blew up because all of a sudden you had black fans who were like, oh, he likes anime, oh, let me get into that, versus those who've always been into anime and going, what are you talking about? This stuff has always been here. Like, why are you suddenly into it when you made fun of me not too long ago for liking this anime? You know what I mean? Hmm.
Right. Let's have a quick pause right there in the conversation. So let it be known that I went to Japan before Michael B. Jordan. I
Hmm.
mean, he's still cooler than me, but I was there first. But if he want to go, I'll tour guide him. He just got to hit me up. So, shout out to you, Michael B. We'll go. I'll show you some hot spots, some really cool places, some really
All
nice
right.
anime stories. You just hit me up, man.
And
Okay?
that's pretty
Cool. All
much
right. Continue.
that feeds into, again, what is considered cool, what is considered a trend, and what is a lifestyle. I think for being an anime fan, especially a black anime fan, it's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a niche. You're living within a culture that is stigmatized, that is disrespected constantly when you yourself, within that culture like something and are ridiculed for it. You're ridiculed the exact same way people around you have been ridiculed for existing. So it's like it's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not one thing, it's another. And so that's what kind of boggled
Mm-hmm.
me recently. Like, again, I'm following just quite a few accounts that longtime anime fans, and it's one thing like for them to go. And I'm not railing against them. Like, some of them are actually pretty cool about this. Like, it's one thing to start liking something because somebody else, some hot celebrities like, hey, I'm into this stuff too. But it's another when you go into the thing with or without the influence and also rebuffed for it. Like within the anime community, you have people
Mm-hmm.
who are fighting to be recognized for being fans and not being made fun of, but would then also turn around and reject anybody who wasn't in the circle before trying to get in. Great. Yes, gatekeepers.
called gatekeepers.
Hmm.
Like I said, I experienced that a lot with the comic book side of things. Like it's comic books in this country at one point were
Hmm.
the norm. Like it was like anime is in Japan. But then of course stigmatism, stupid adults talking
Yep.
about it harms children, and just it became a cultural shift. And it's weird, like people like you need people to keep stuff alive that you love. But instead of embracing anything that they like to get them look like to get them into the group, you found ways to ostracize them because you were ostracized. And in the ignorance and hypocrisy that is so dumb and widespread. Because I remember I can't remember my friend's name. It's been so long since I've been inside a comic book store. But he was in a comic book store and he was sitting there just talking about how you gotta have more women. Women have children. They pass stuff along. That's how you get people to stay involved. You get
Hmm.
lifelong fans and generational fans. And I told him, so why don't you try to help make stuff more comfortable for women? He said, yeah, I try to make my store more comfortable for women, but then I have customers,
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh, because then you will have other people who will ostracize those women, even though him as a business owner and just a person that likes comic books
Hmm.
wants more women involved to keep the culture alive. And I think like it's so weird with that same dichotomy because with Japan, they don't need us to keep the culture alive, but they don't mind expanding to us because they know like we'll be loyal to stuff like that embraces us because you literally will turn around. Like I said, representation is important. You'll have now some of the most popular anime making sure there's
Hmm.
at least one prominent black character and not a
Right.
stereotypical character like some shows, Dragon Ball Z, but a prominent black character that actually is in the story and narrative to be like, hey, no,
Hmm.
you're represented here. Please
Exactly.
come watch. And I think that's always like I think that's a fine balance for black people because we want to be inclusive. We want to share things with people. But for us in our culture,
Hmm.
for I can't what are we at 400 years of just being oppressed and ostracized for existing or even saying we don't exist and having everything we build taken away from us, sometimes it's hard to
Yeah.
be like maybe we
To
need
get
to
us
embrace
at
other
least away
stuff.
from the terrible reality of our lives. And we found that again with anime. It's been
Mm-hmm.
anime and comics. It's been a great medium. But then again, we're still ostracized for it. We're still made fun of. But it's so interesting
Mm-hmm.
now how we see the influence of anime not just with each other but in media, in shows, in music. Like we mentioned the Boondocks last
Mm-hmm.
episode, and how the style of the animation, the characters talking to each other, it's all the music, especially the music. Like it's just all heavily influenced by anime.
And it led to great representation. You have
Mhm.
so many beautiful different points of views of black people in this country, and
Right.
I don't know if you could get that with an art style that isn't anime.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. So I guess it's at least though for me, I think, I mean, even though we still have people who make fun of black people who are into anime, I really do think that shows like not even shows like just the Boondocks um, really did help open the door for a lot of people who weren't really into anime at first. If you know what I mean, like I feel like after that, because again, it
Mm-hmm.
was on Adult Swim, it was on the same night, Saturday nights, where they would show a whole anime block, so it made sense for it to be there. And I think newer episodes would be like on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but it just made sense. Like they would show that first, and they would consider it an anime. I think at the time it was totally considered an anime. Right? Exactly.
It's an American anime. It's like it's that whole genre.
Mhm.
I think we touched on that a little bit in the last episode. That American anime is becoming a bigger
Mhm.
thing where
Yes.
you have shows like Ruby from Rooster Teeth, which travel from
Right.
here Or they're
Exactly.
there and have become big
So
instead of the
it's
other way
again
around.
the influence is slowly sinking in, but it's there. It's showing by a lot. So
Mhm. It's expanding outside of just one or two hip hop verses or somebody mentioning one anime character,
right,
usually a character,
exactly.
inside a
So
song.
I think like the show will be near and dear to my heart because I can just go on just one whole episode just about the Boondocks because that show is it just hits home for me. I love it so much.
Mhm.
It's so great, like, and I just can't get over how Huey is drawn, like, just straight up anime character right there. Protagonist, everything with the moral code.
Right.
Yes.
Thick eyes,
with, with, like, the
karate,
moral
or
code and the code of honor
yeah.
and, just trying to see straight and trying to pick a path that works best for him and his family. Like, it's all there. Themes and everything.
Hmm.
So that's what just impresses me the absolute most. So it's not as much, there isn't as much stigma, but it's still there. Like, I think it's just, you know how human beings are. We're just so slow on getting rid of anything negative about ourselves.
Right. And I
Mm-hmm,
think it's like it kind of goes down to the packaging. Cause let's be honest, sometimes it's a cultural barrier still because you'll see.
mm-hmm,
Cause okay, all right, let's break this down. In America, a schoolgirl
right.
uniform is almost automatically pornographic.
Mm-hmm,
In Japan, it's a schoolgirl uniform. But if you are a schoolboy and you see a schoolgirl, yes, it's pornographic because you're a boy and it's a schoolgirl. There's nothing odd about that,
yep,
but in America, it's almost automatically odd. And it's like a definitely thing about body image. Cause okay, so yeah, you like this anime and it's really cool, but of course on all the boxes and all the
mm-hmm,
promotion, there's this skinny little girl with giant boobs, and people automatically think porn instead of her being like the protagonist or warrior or hero. But that's only because in Japan, body image disproportion is funny. For us,
mm-hmm.
body image
Cultural
disproportion
differences.
is pornographic. Cultural differences, and people mistake those cultural differences instead of for something being weird or you being odd as being like, no, they actually do have
Mm-hmm,
a different perspective than you do. Because
yep,
I mean, let's be honest, for black people, it's big butts and smiles. Japan, you put a big butt on the character. If it's not a part of the
yeah,
storyline, it's just something to make fun of, and then you move on. And it's like I keep saying, it's people throwing their own maybe little insecure and perversions onto a cartoon. But in Japan, it's like, nah,
yep.
it's just something funny to make fun of. Then we're gonna
Or
go
the
to the
character
back to the
using their
sword
body
fighting.
part as an advantage in the fight.
And right, and yeah, then of course you turn around, you have some stuff where the whole purpose of the show is just big
Mm-hmm.
girls with big titties fighting each other. It's what's called fan service. The thing is, we have it here
No,
too. We
well,
just
of course
want
not.
to
It's there,
not
but
admit
what are
to
you
it.
talking about? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's super there. It's called misogyny. But they just call it fan service because it's something to
Mm-hmm.
get people's
That's
attention so they
exactly
could
it.
buy the stuff so that studio can make
That's
money.
always it. So going further, maybe we can touch in like we had a whole episode about hip hop in anime, but now we look at again black anime fans in the hip hop world. A lot of rappers are into anime. I mean, I know that from RZA from Wu Tang is just that's. I want to say he's like I don't want to say he's the first example, but he probably is. I don't know my history that well, but like he even mentioned how he is so he can relate to Dragon Ball Z, and he what is it? He's like he dedicates a whole book like in his book The Tao of Wu. He dedicates like a whole page to like Goku's
Hmm.
resonance with Black Americans. That he's like part of an ancient race, come from a distant planet. We're known as the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. Um, but like Goku lost his memory from a head injury. So it kind of robs him of all his sense of self, his culture, and all that stuff. And he
His
even
culture, yeah.
like there was like a line that says, "I even use the name Goku as a tag when I write, and when my hair is in an afro, word up, I'm Super Saiyan." You know, so it's also the imagery. We
Hmm.
see a lot of ourselves in these characters because it's a whole
Hmm.
different world. Like you see again, not Goku, but the underdog. Starting from the bottom, we don't know if they're gonna succeed. We root for them, but I guess the differences between the underdog from the anime and the underdog here in the black community is that you know they want us to fail. It's a it's a bit it's
Yeah.
it's it's sad, but that's the reality
Yeah.
here. You know.
Well, that's a really good point.
Shonen.
It's like I said, it's so
Mhm.
shonen. Yeah, shonen is male fantasy. Yeah, it's that
Mhm.
you work hard and actually fight and you
Right, and
actually
like you're
win.
overcoming
It doesn't
all the
everything doesn't look
odds
like a
that are being
loss.
thrown your
And then
way.
unfortunately,
You know what I mean? Mhm.
right, and that's the thing that like I think we talked about this before in a private conversation off show that those that black people have won a lot. They just
Mhm.
don't tell you about it. It's not told to you every day, and it's not told to you how the stuff you won got taken, not lost, but taken from you. So you have this mind state that you never won anything. It's like no, but people relate, like you said, you can relate to that in anime where you see the
Mhm.
main
And
hero
it's
fight
something
for
to
everything and
hope
may
for.
actually
It's
win
a
something.
sense of like hope to have when you yourself
Right.
are in certain situations. And I can understand that anime itself like is
Mm.
just completely over the top. It is. No matter the story, even a slice of life, like you will see scenarios that are just what is this? That includes the animation style. But like I read an article recently
Mm.
about why like black men love Dragon Ball Z so much, and it says the same thing. Like it's extra, it's over the top, and it's something that can attract black youth because looking at black kids now and as I grew up, it's we can be very extra about a lot of things we do, but that's also how we set trends.
Mm.
Our over the top fashion, our over the top behavior, our over the
Mm.
top music, just our over the top considered over the top presence.
About
Exactly.
yeah, about
And that's
what
part of
people
the.
think is over the top. No,
There
that's
you
just
go.
us being
That's the
us.
huge reason for me is the reason why so many black kids who watch anime can become fans because that stuff is that's who we are. We're loud. We're already loud. Not in a bad way, but that's just how we are. We're just loud. You know, we love that stuff, and I get it.
That's how we are.
Mhm.
We like to be boisterous. We like to, be heard. We
Yeah.
like colors. We like, we like those things. And I think that's another thing, like you touched on, like, real quick there. First of all, it can be seen. Anime can be seen. Like I
Mhm.
said, comic books have been in America since the 30s, and yet we just now starting to get stuff with quality animation. Anime has had people dedicated to it. Like I said, it's a medium, not a genre. It's a medium. It's its own thing. People have been dedicated to making that stuff look good, look great, and be able to be
Mhm.
consumed since it was started. It look in the 1940s. But in America, or in the Western world, we're just now starting to get like some of our most popular heroes that have spanned across the globe. We just now starting to get
Yep.
their quality animation
Mhm.
stories told. Like just now, like since 2000. Like you might have a couple of gems that stick out every once in a while, but as a on a consistent basis, we never had that. We might have had one or two things come out of,
Mhm.
like I said, maybe something from Disney, a Darkwing Duck that stayed around, or you get an X Men animated series that blew up out of nowhere. But let's be honest, the X Men animated series, oh my,
Mhm.
I love it, cherished to my heart,
Oh, of course not. Oh no.
love it to death. It's not the best
Oh
animation
no.
in the world, but you turn
Mhm.
around, you get anime and something that's that same thing but with quality. And that's how Dragon Ball Z blew up in the first place. It was well, for the time. It was
Mm-hmm.
quality to us. It was like, wow,
Yes,
you
it
can
was.
actually do
Very much
this,
the same
and
with
it came
Sailor
out on a
Moon at the
regular
time too. It became
basis.
very mainstream, and it resonated with a lot of
Yes.
girls. Especially like
Hmm.
now, I'm looking at like let's say like shops, like stores. You have women, black women, who have stores that are inspired by anime and the look, the pastel, the soft look of being a woman, and it's like
Hmm.
you don't see a lot of that in Western influences. Like the concept, yeah,
You had it in Shira, like the transformation from
hmm
what you considered a weak to a
yeah,
powerful woman.
that's
You
true.
had
But
that
and
in
but then
Shira,
when
and then
but
like,
even with Shira though, it was still something that not a lot of women I noticed. A lot of black women try. Well, the non-hardcore fans um, tried to relate to because again, it was more. It was still considered for the male gaze. Um, yes,
it was, but it was also
yeah,
stigma. It was you were just a He-Man ripoff in the first place. But with Sailor
exactly.
Moon, it was for all
Exactly.
intents and purposes its own
Nope, it
thing. It
wasn't.
was only
And that's what
for
made it so
Sailor
much fun
Moon.
to
It
watch. And
wasn't
you
for
have
anything
the
else.
characters themselves relatable because they're teenage girls. You know, you have Serena, well, her American name, Serena, Miss Sailor Moon, like powerful moon goddess, but a really, really lazy teenager who likes, I mean, like, yeah, who likes boys and
Hmm.
loves to eat a
Who's
lot.
obsessed with cat?
I love that because that mine is the boys thing. I love to eat. Let's
Hmm.
so like as a full grown woman, like I'm like that's me. Plus
Hmm.
with just the animation style, and then you have like just the whole quote unquote soft aesthetic, and girls love
Hmm.
that. Especially black girls. Like I see a lot more black girls into that stuff. They're a lot more open. They're a lot more open to cosplaying, to just dressing up on a daily basis, to the makeup, to the behavior, and it's growing.
Hmm. I mean, let's be honest. Like,
Hmm.
let's not. This is going to sound very stereotypical, but that's always makes me laugh when
Yes.
people diss cosplayers. I'm like, but you
Oh
dress up for
man.
church every Sunday.
Yes.
The same thing, fam. In my mind,
Over
you
the top
bright
hat.
colors.
The over the
It's a
top hat.
costume
Oh
you
my
put
god, the
on for that
church hat.
couple hours to go dance around. There you go. Like we've been doing this since the beginning. It's just now in a different form, and it has
Hmm.
an entire industry to. Well, technically, church is an industry, but now it has another industry to
No, it
support it, and
doesn't.
yet you want to talk mess about
It's like
each
a
other.
weird
It doesn't make
dissonance.
any sense to me.
Like, oh no, it's
It
like this,
doesn't
but it's
make
not
any
like that. But
sense
it's
to
like
me.
two very of the like they're the
All
same
right.
thing, different languages, but the same thing. That's what boggles me.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
like
same
looking at
thing.
I know that growing up, my dad would always be like, "Why are you into that stuff? Like this, that, and the other." I'm like, "Cause I just like it." And then he just kind of went with it, cause he's my dad. He's like, he wants to keep his daughter happy, fine. Like, but
Mm.
he's like, as long as it keeps you reading, whatever. So, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I had the same basically with with comic books. As long as it kept you reading, but also it gave me a job. Like when I got older, I wanted more and more comics.
There
And
you
it's like,
go.
well, can't afford it.
That's
Okay, I
it.
went and got a job. Just so I could buy more comic books. Which again led to more manga, which then led to me buying more Japanese stuff when eBay was around. I'm like, oh, now I can buy it myself and not have to go
Exactly. Boom.
run to a
There you
friend's
go.
house and
With
get a
your
bootleg. No, I'm
hard-earned
gonna just go
money.
and buy it straight Japan.
So it's
Hmm.
just really really fascinating for me to see how it's different now. I mean, before I was lucky growing up, interacting with the people I did. In high school, there was an anime club, and it was actually very diverse. There were a large handful of black kids who were into anime at the time, and and of all different personality types. Again, I had one friend who's just like heavy into anime, more so than I was, and a good number of them. But you would take a look at him and you wouldn't think that he was an anime fan at all. And that's the thing. That's what I love about our people. That's what I love about black people. You look at a black person who's into anime, you wouldn't think they were. Because again, there's the stereotype that fits the anime fan, the Western anime fan, either um, grossly overweight, not to
Hmm.
put anything on anybody who's overweight, but You have that with like bad acne, terrible hygiene, or sheltered. Um,
Or sheltered. Can't
exactly.
talk. Can't socialize with people outside of their own group. Like
Mhm.
those just dumb stereotypes
Mhm.
that people put on, and let's be honest, sometimes that could be the truth. It can be the truth, but it's the fact that again, stereotypes are the generalization of things. Like, but you try to throw it on everybody. It's like no, because that means you talking about the entire country. Japan is like that, or at least a lot of the
Mhm.
general population of Japan is like that. It's like
Oh,
no,
pretty
how do
much
you
it
do
is.
that? But again, that's
And
Western
so
stuff.
it's always really cool to see that even then, people, like people of all walks of life, that is like a niche within a niche. That is just, so looking at my friend, again, you wouldn't suspect anything, but he was the type to be so into anime that he would attract those who fit the stereotype. Like, those kind of people who are magnets for those kind of people. Like, he was just cool and really,
Hmm.
really awesome. At the same time, he just
Hmm.
attracted like the extreme nerds, the extreme fans, because he was a huge fan too. He just kept a level head about it.
Hmm. Hmm. But the extreme people always,
Mm-hmm.
set the tone for the larger group, even though the
Yeah.
larger group may not be
True.
anything
Oh
like
no, you're
that.
right. You're absolutely
And that's
right. I
just a
just found it
societal
really
problem, not
interesting
just
that
with
he
geeks
would
and
just
nerds.
attract people like that. And I'm like, how do you notice this? He's like, yeah, but I just
Yeah.
go with it. They're cool, so they ain't doing nothing to me. Right. Mhm.
Right. 'Cause, right, he gets
Exactly.
somebody to talk to, right, and they're not bothering him, and he gets somebody to talk to. But that's the thing. But black people have always done that. Like you said, trends. We
Mhm.
set trends, and everybody looks at us and takes our stuff and then talk shit. But we also turn around and do it,
Yep.
and like we spread culture and not without appropriating it.
Mhm.
Other people don't
Exactly.
seem to be able to do
That's
that,
how
but
we
we
can do
can
it.
spread culture
Yep.
without appropriating it. But we just like it. We like it, and it's a part of and look, and if you really look through the history, we probably invented it somewhere down the line anyway, and through the historical circumstances, people took it and separated it from us. It's just a weird thing to realize that how hard you have to just fight for stuff you
Mhm.
like because it's outside what
Exactly.
other people think
So
should be your
it's
norm.
all. I mean, for to kind of wrap this up, it's all on what we want to enjoy. Whatever it is, there will always be some sort of stigma around it. We will always be judged for it. We will always be seen as weird or off or what have you for liking it, for enjoying it. Anime is just one of those things. I've always been a proud anime fan. I haven't been like hardcore into it, but that's just me. I'm the same way with video games. I'm a casual player, but I enjoy it. Hardcore.
Hmm. Hardcore casual. We enjoy it. We know
Right.
about it, but we not gonna sit there and name every single person and every character and every
Right.
single voice actor when they change voice actors.
Exactly. Oh
No,
yeah,
but I
and
can
the
tell
hard,
you
and I
which
could
one I
probably tell you
like,
the hard
and I
time
can
my
tell you
dad
the
gave.
probably
Well,
the
not a
year it
hard time,
came
but
out.
my dad was like, Game Boy, but you're a girl, and it's like, no, please stop. I just want the game. Like, why are you into these games? Like, I would have to like sit down and write a diagram showing my
Hmm.
dad why I would like to have a Game Boy, and I did following Christmas because he wants to make his daughter happy, so I'm happy about that. Even if I
I
had
didn't have
straight
to do no
A's, he was like,
explanation. Like, yo,
no,
I
tell
got
me
straight
why I
A's.
should
Give me
give
what I
this to you.
want to
This
get
is
her.
for boys. Why? And it's like, really? Fine.
No,
I was like,
I
huh?
ain't play
When
them
did,
games. Like,
gosh,
give me
when
my
did
stuff. I earned it.
Pokemon came out? 95? Yeah, I was like 5 or 6 years old. I didn't get a Pokemon game until I was like 10. So,
Mm.
hey,
I
Pokemon's
have
not for
never gotten a
everybody. I'm not
Pokemon
torn up
game, and
over
I'm
that.
proud to say
I'm,
it.
I'm,
Pokemon. Pokemon's for
you say,
hold on. Pokemon's for losers. No, I'm just kidding. Pokemon's great. I love
aw,
Pikachu. Love
Pikachu is amazing.
love all the Japanese girls I met in Japan that love Pikachu. Pikachu's the best. I know what? Pikachu's amazing. Love all the black girls that
There you
dress in
go.
sexy
See, everybody
Pikachu
has something
costumes.
that they can
Pikachu's
like about
awesome.
Pokemon,
Pokemon's
even if it's
great.
just one thing. It's for everybody. So,
Hmm.
but this has been a fantastic
Hmm.
discussion, don't you think?
Like you said, at the end of the day, if you like something, you like it, defend it, find people who like
Right.
it, and then when somebody
Exactly.
new comes along and like it, don't talk shit to them. Embrace them, teach them, bring
Yes.
them into the fold,
Please join.
invite them to
Do
listen to
it.
Afro Anime Initiative. Join the
Yes, and we'll
initiative,
talk shit about
and
certain anime too, because I know that
we'll
you're
watch some
aching.
anime
You're
together.
aching to say something about certain anime, Jaren.
I'm just saying, like when we do that whole hour, and
Mhm.
we're not monetized yet,
Yes.
but you know what I mean. When
Mhm.
we just start
They
cursing
will
about
get
that
it.
one
Oh,
particular
I
anime,
have a
people
few.
understand.
I have a
They'll
few
get
I
it.
want to talk about too.
They'll get it.
I just got that one.
I just got the one. Just the one. Just the one that must just stop. We'll talk about that later. Once again, so if you like I said, if you just like something, you like it, enjoy it, and just enjoy it, and don't worry about what other people think. If you find like-minded people, even though they might be a little bit odd to
Yeah,
you,
and plus the
embrace
oddities,
their
honestly, I
oddities
think just adds more fun
and
to it.
join in the fun.
It just makes it more colorful. All right.
Indeed. All right, well that's our show. We will catch you guys next time
Bye
on
bye.
Afro
Thank you
Anime
so
Initiative.
much.
Join the